I just want this to be a very informal discussion. I just want to begin by asking her about performing without a mic. She'd already alluded to some of the issues. And, you know, you're mostly performing with mics.
These
So
days,
what,
we all are.
Yeah, you all are. So what is, in terms of your voice, in terms of just the experience, what is the difference for a musician and a singer?
Well, when there is a microphone, when you're singing on mic, you don't have to bother about reaching your music to the audience. The sound engineer does it. Okay, you know, every last person will be able to hear every little nuance. But when it's without microphone, it depends entirely on the venue. Some venues, it changes from place to place. Some venues, like I performed in Prithvi, so they have these wall panels that shift, and they basically, it's a reverb of the sound. It bounces off the walls. So you can do that. But in a venue like this, I don't know how much of my music you can hear. Because from the performer's perspective, we can hear what we are hearing within this space. But how many of my nuances are audible? So I have to actually reach my voice out to the audience. But another plus point of singing without mics is it sounds organic. It sounds exactly as it sounds when we sit in the music room and sing without any microphones and speakers and monitors. So yeah, it makes it more real.
Right, right. So just tell us a little bit. I mean, all Khayal musicians, I mean, the bedrock on which all their performances are based are obviously Riyaz.
Absolutely.
I mean, for years, right? I mean, so just tell us a little bit about your, recent Riyaz routine.
Yes. So the Riyaz routine hasn't changed. See, basically, when you learn from Kishori Tai, it's very structured.
Mm-hmm.
Your training is very, very structured. So she doesn't mix performance and preparation. Now, I'll explain. The study of a rag and the study of your medium. First, the medium is your voice. Okay? The study of your medium, the development of voice, of the ability of the voice to do whatever you think of, that is done separately, not while exploring a rag. Exploring a rag is studied separately. She wouldn't mix the two. So that's why we had a proper Riyaz. Just like a sportsman, he has his workout that he does every day. Come rain, storm, he's out there doing his workout because he needs to keep his medium in good shape. But that doesn't mean a footballer can play a match. He has to also study being on the field. He has to study the game, but that's done separately. So similarly, we had a Riyaz, and we chose to call them Riyaz and Talim. Simply because Riyaz में ताल नहीं होता है, वो सिर्फ आवाज़ की तैयारी. We do it in thats. There are 10 thats in Indian classical music.
In Hindustani music.
In Hindustani music, yes. I just wanted to correct myself. But yes, so there are 10 thats, and we do it in the thats. So standard notes. Then, when we study a rag, that's done later on. That's with the tal, so we used to call it talim. So for the rag, then comes in question the shruti. Ye rag ka ye rishabh hai. Your sa doesn't belong to this rag. Madhyam doesn't speak with sa. So all of that. And also how to explore a rag. Now a rag is an atmosphere. It's a feeling. There are many ways of expressing one particular feeling. The feeling is common to all of us. We all know what sorrow is. Everybody's experienced it in their own way. The reason behind my sorrow may be different. But we all have knowledge of that emotion. We all have knowledge of what sorrow is, what love is, what is budding love. Yeah? We all know what anger is. So all the navrasas, we have experienced them in our own capacity and because of our own experiences. So the way we express these rasas is going to have a personal touch. But eventually, what we express should be universal. I am sad. Why am I sad? I am sad because my best friend left India and she's never going to come back. You're not sad because my best friend left India, but you know what that feeling is. So it is that universal feeling that if I express it, now if I just tell you, oh, my friend left, she's never going to come back, you don't feel anything. But if I say it in a more poetic way or artistic way and I put it in different words and I say, you know, Sumana ji, it's so surprising. People come, people go. When they go, we feel it's the end of the world. But then life changes and we move on. And we accept loss so easily. But it leaves a space, it leaves that hollow forever. But we learn to live with it. Now, if I beautify it even more, she's going to feel it more. That's what art does. It makes expression more effective. Now, when I'm expressing sorrow, I shouldn't be stuck to my personal sorrow, but I should, as an artist, relate to that universal sorrow that she and she and she and he and all of you can relate to. So, when I'm doing that, there goes a lot of exploration. You need to explore, and I can't explore on stage. That's not fair to you. I need to do it in the music room. So that's a different talim altogether.
Yeah, so let me just,
that's how it's been.
So when you say talim, you mean the rag. And the riyaz is the voice training. So let me just take your Meera Malhar that you sang. Let's just, because first to understand the rag, you have to get the chalan, which is the chalan is the characteristic gait, the phrases. It has to become every rag has to become a mother tongue. Because you're expressing the emotions through that rag. So tell us a little bit about how Kishori taught you this. Just because, we are looking at process. So explain the chalan a little bit.
Okay. So now
in
the
Sargam.
thing is, with me personally, if you ask me, I am singing a rag, but if you ask me the chalan, I don't know.
No, but just...
I don't know the chalan of any rag. But you know what? It's like she always said, do not copy my phrases. Do not learn the phrases. Learn the dialogue behind the phrases. And she would actually, the different lakshanas. And then there are different, there are commas, question marks, semicolon. She could actually show us, okay, this was a comma. This was a full stop. This was an exclamation mark. In Alapi.
Could you just show a little bit?
She could. I don't know if I can, but...
Just try. It's okay because we're trying to go behind the process. Shall I get the...
Comma. But full stop. That's a little bit that I can do.
That's
but
excellent.
she did it way better, of course. I don't know how clear mine was, but she could show very clearly. So now, coming back to the question, she always said that there are dialogues formed right from the first note that you sing. Even a pause between two phrases. I remember this because उन्होंने मुझे बहुत टोका इसके लिए.
अच्छा.
She said, why did you pause for so long between the first and the second phrase? Your dialogue didn't continue. There was a disconnect in the So this is the right pause. So her entire focus was on the dialogue, on the expression. The way I've learned is there were no questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
And even if there were questions asked, there were no answers given. In spoken language, it was all in musical language, it was all in notes. You had to understand. So I never even had the guts to ask her which rag this is. So for a long time, and believe me, even till I started giving solo performances, I didn't know कि ये बंदिश है, इसका राग का नाम क्या है. If people would ask me, Shuddha Kalyan Gao, and I would be like, I would turn to one of her senior students or to Dipali Didi also. She's right here. She's just to learn from Tai. And I would be like, iski bandish to batao. Like, हाँ अरे वो ना. And then I could sing it well. Like I could sing it correctly. So this is how I've learned. There was no... because this was Mogubai Ji's way of teaching. In the music room, you don't talk. You only sing. So there was no chalan as such given.
Okay.
But she said, try and grasp the atmosphere. Now, the way I look at it is, if you are performing a drama, a play, which is say a biblical play, and if there is a nice, shiny red telephone booth in a corner, that's going to stand out. That's going to spoil it. Right? It's going to be that one sore spot. That's how a wrong phrase sounds. You just know, no, this is not right. So that's what we have been doing in Talim. So this is not right, this is not right. And there's this term in Marathi, my grandmom would say, neti neti ne shikawa. Neti neti means the rule of negation. So you just subtract this. Ye nahi acha, wo nahi acha, this is not right, that is not right, and that is not right. Once everything that's not right has gone, what's left is usually always right. So that's how I've learned.
So much more by osmosis, maybe like a child would learn a language. I mean, you don't teach the child grammar.
Yeah.
They listen to what the parents are saying, and they
absolutely,
and then
like
maybe the parents might correct certain, and then as they
so
and then if they are talented, then they they introduce style, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Correct.
So when she sang a phrase, let's say, did she expect you to copy her, or was it?
So when I started learning, the rest of the students were quite senior and they had been performing with her. As a child, obviously I was very new to some ragas, but as you learn, maybe on the first day, initially she would sing one phrase and then we would copy. But eventually learning was not copying. But if it is A, B, C, then you are expected to do B, C, A, B, A, C, that.
Right.
But keeping in line with the dialogue she had started. So it was, she would always say, don't copy. Don't copy my phrase. Copy the dialogue, but make your own phrase. Say it in your own way. So she always insisted, even on stage. On stage sometimes you can't think, beyond what she has sung. So
right.
You just kind of, wo karti thi na, huh? And then suddenly, it's thrown at you and you don't know because you're listening to her and you're zoned out and you don't know what to sing because your head is not working. So what you do, wo waqt, ko sambhalne ke liye, you copy the phrase. So I've even got it on stage. So don't copy, So it was tough, but in a way, creative and interesting.
Yeah, but I suppose that's the challenge of a khayal singer. I mean, you literally have 5 minutes of composed material, and you have to extend it to 45 minutes. And initially, you have to copy your guru. But then again, the contradiction is when you come on stage, you have to produce everything that's original. So that's the kind of fundamental challenge. So tell me, even when it comes to rags, I had a singer once tell me that rags are like friends. You get to know them slowly and you get comfortable. If you don't sing them for a long time, it's like not meeting a friend. You don't know them. You're not in touch. So tell me how, what are the rags that you feel, are close friends? The ones that you feel are strangers or...
All the rags that I've studied more are close friends.
Like, for
Because
instance.
this is exactly the example my grandmother used to give me. She said, you know how if you say so and so is your best friend, then on what basis do you think that she's your best friend? You know her name, you know her surname. She's fair, she's got curly hair, yeah. She's a little plump. That's actually my best friend. Okay, and her name is Shweta, let me just say. Her name is Shweta. Is that enough to make her your best friend? No. I have known her since more than 2 decades. I've spent that much time with her. I think I know more about her than she would. That's when I can say she's my best friend. Other friends, okay, I know them a little less. And then there are acquaintances whom we just know, you know, their names and a little bit. So that's exactly how your study of a rag should be. If you want to make it your best friend, you spend more time with it. So, and that's why Tai spent 4.5 years on Bhoop and Yaman. But morning, evening, she would just sing Yaman or just sing Bhoop consistently for 4 years, 5 years. And even today, when she sings Yaman or Bhoop, there are phrases that you've never heard or even fathomed before. And you think, where is this coming from? Because they have become her best friends because she spent that much time with them. So yeah, that's a very interesting thing that she also said.
I love the way Tejashree said, when she sings. I mean, she's always forever with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we all miss her terribly.
Yeah.
But so tell me, how, I'd like to kind of ask you about Mogubai also. Because what kind of, how old were you when, Mogubai passed away, what, early 2001?
So
Yeah,
I was in the 10th standard then.
So that means you had quite a bit of time with her.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are the kind of things she told you? What was different about what she said, or characteristic?
She never said anything. She never spoke. She
Through
only
her music.
sang.
Through her music.
She only sang.
What did you then get from her music that maybe was unique to Mogubai?
Not just her music, but in general, as a person, her discipline. She was a discipline to the core. I remember she was used to having pan, betel leaf. She would have her silver dabbi. And the doctor said, this is not good for you. And he just said it before he could finish. Acha chalo, ye ho gaya. Aur kya karna hai batai. And she didn't touch pan. She used to have pan morning and evening, but she didn't touch pan. So that's the kind of control, and I think you can see it in her music also.
Yeah.
She did not deviate from what Khan Sahib or Anwar Hussain Khan Sahib had taught her.
Agra
at
Gharana,
all.
yeah.
Whatever she did was in that spectrum. So, discipline, I think.
Also, tell us a little bit about, so, in Khayal, you basically learn the specific gaiki of your guru. Because even within a gharana, there's quite a bit of variety. And so when you're learning from one guru, you're learning their gaiki, their very specific gaiki. But over time, were you influenced by any other musicians? Did you listen to them? Or even people from other gharanas? Or even within Jaipur, for instance, Nivruti Bua is very different, very rhythmic.
Very different, yes.
Yes. So what are the kind of other influences you think you had or you consciously sought out?
Consciously, I don't know. I won't be able to point out. Maybe people can see influences.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I unknowingly picked up. But my grandmother's music was never confined to any one particular style. She derived from every musician, from every sound she heard. She said, because gharanas and medium, the purpose of the creation of different mediums of art, of different gharanas in music, was expression. So she gave foremost importance to expression. And she said, if my medium limits me, then I'm going to break it. I'm going to use what the expression demands of me. But yes, she did study her gharana and her gaiki and her mother's gaiki, and that was the foundation. So she always believed, make your foundation so strong that even if you deviate, it's going to hold you up. It's not going to let you fall. So yes, but because her music, you must be knowing, her music had influences of so many other musicians and gharanas, even Western music. She used to use the vibrato, and everybody's heard that she's used her vibrato not just in semi-classical but even in classical. So I was never taught keeping that in mind, कि ये घराना है, ये ऐसा है. She just taught me her music, so I am also maybe influenced by other gharanas, but I wouldn't know. The changeover is so subtle.
Right, right. So tell us a little bit about, since you did mention vibrato, there's often a kind of misconception or, I don't know, misconception, but an understanding that in Indian music, there's no separate voice training. It comes with the talim. But in your case, she did it separately. So can you just tell us a little bit about what she did by way of voice training?
Okay. Firstly, in Jaipur Gharana, the one rule she stood with was khuli gale ki gaiki, akar ki gaiki.
Akar ki gaiki, okay. Yeah.
Now, with akar, when I shift from one note, the transition from one note to the other is very, very audible. Ga, ma. When I close my mouth for ma, there is a little glitch. So the transition is not that obvious. But when you sing in only akar, it becomes very obvious. So to start from one note and go to the other note needs a lot of control on the voice. For example, if you take a meend, now, where is the meend more heavy on? The lower note? Does it linger more toward the lower note or more toward the higher note? Or okay. So there are different kinds of means.
Even between the same two notes.
Same two
exactly.
Notes.
Yeah.
So this is one aspect. Then gamak. There are different aspects of gaiki. There is gamak, there is khatka, murki, all of the alankars. So to be able to reproduce all of that with a khula akar, it requires practice separately. So that's what she focused on.
So she would make you do just akar.
Yeah, the Riyaz is in akar only.
Because she also did very good bowl. I mean, I just saw, your bowl is also very good. Reminded me of Mogubai's bowl, actually.
Really? Yes. Oh, yes, of course.
Right?
Since, going back to your question, I am influenced a lot more by Mogubai ji's bowl because the way she would pronounce the words and so meaningfully. And then she would tie it up so beautifully and come to the sum. It was just, one thing that she always said was, when you catch the mukhda, it shouldn't fall separate. It should be like a tail end to what you have sung in the avartan. It shouldn't look separate. It shouldn't look like it's something else. It should be a continuation of what you have done in the avartan. So yes, these things. And I feel the bolalab, Mai's bolalabs were so special. I think because, I don't know, I feel she has, that's what I would say, कि माई के बोलालाब अनवर हुसैन खान साहब के हैं.
आगरा घराना, वैसे आगरा घराना specializes in bowl.
Yeah, वैसे ही उनके आते हैं.
Yeah.
तो maybe.
Yes. So tell me, how did you, when you actually come to perform, how do you select your ragas? Like today you decided Rageshri and Meera Malar. Did you decide beforehand, or are you one of those musicians who decides in the green room?
Never.
Or decides,
I'm not so confident.
My guru
to
decides in the green room. My guru decides something in the green room and he sings something
Wow.
different on the stage, and his students are his senior students always like, oh my, they're looking
Yes,
at each
yes,
other.
that used to happen with Tai, but no, even with Tai, the first rag was always decided, and she would be practicing it at home and then come and perform. The second rag was dicey because she would decide something and then she would come, she performs the first rag, and then उनका मूड बनता था कोई और राग वही धुन. In fact, in a very I think I don't know, maybe in the 80s this happened when Appa Jargaonkar ji used to accompany her. She was supposed to sing some rag as the second rag, but there was some swar sangati, I think Yaman ki swar sangati, that kept playing in her head. She stopped that second rag midway. She said, I'm being harassed by this swar sangati. I want to sing Yaman. And she changed and she suddenly started singing Yaman. So yes, that happens. But yeah, I always decide my rags beforehand. The main factor is the timing, because we do follow Samay Chakra.
Yes, yeah.
So according to the Samay, according to the season, and I didn't know, I was skeptical about singing a Malhar because October you don't get rains. But since it was raining, I said, well, let me just sing Malhar. So that's how I decided ki, I've not sung Malhar this year, let me just sing one Malhar. And the Rageshri was decided according to time.
Right.
And yeah, also you kind of feel, you get a feel for the rag. So this is what I want to sing. Also, sometimes I'm practicing a particular rag and I've really got to that point where I'm enjoying that rag so much, so I want to present it. So then I'm waiting for a program that comes for that timing.
Yeah.
So if that happens then, but yeah, that's generally how we decide the rag, according to the time.
So I'll just ask her one more question and then everyone can, join in because it's getting very late also. So just tell me a little bit about rhythm. We've
Okay.
spoken about Kishori's voice, the way her sort of narrative complexity with this full stops, commas, all that. Obviously, rhythm plays it's very subtle, but it plays a very big role. So tell me how she taught you about rhythm. Like you said, coming to the sum, but how do you
So-
build up?
So more than the rhythm, I feel what is most important in expression is the tempo. Now rhythm, there are different tals. Teen tal, jhap tal, rupak, ek tal, dadra, kerva. But it's the tempo that matters when you express. When I'm angry, it's like, it's so late, why isn't this getting over soon? I wouldn't be like, it's so late, why isn't it getting over soon, right? But when I want to express my affection to somebody, oh, you're such a dear, I love you. The tempo is different. When I'm sad, the tempo is much slower. My voice dips lower. So every expression has its own tempo. Now, when and for the morning Riyaz, the subject I was given was sum. So this actually brings me back to that.
Brings you back to that sum.
That sum, exactly. And it is, the sum keeps coming, you keep coming back to the sum. So it's the avartan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Between each one, there was a span of time which remains consistent. So it gives us respite. If I just keep talking without a full stop, people will lose interest and I will stop making sense after some time. I need full stops, and that's why the sum comes in play right there to establish the full stop. Now every avartan, as I said, is of a specific duration.
Right.
It lasts a specific duration, which we divide in multiple portions. Now the Indian word for portion is matra, sankhya. So how many matras is it divided in? Is it divided in 4? Then the sum has to come much earlier. Or is it divided in 16 or 10? That also depends on your expression. Now, with that, sometimes a rhythm has a kind of sway. Like you heard Rupak in the second rag.
Just say the way.
Ti na di na di na ti na di na di na. So there is a kind of rhythm. There is a kind of sway that is created. Di na di na ti na di na di na. So when it comes to rhythm now, this difference in sway helps my expression bloom further. It gives me certain stress points. So that's how rhythm and tempo come in play, and they help you, they aid you to express. But again, if the tabalji plays something totally different than what I am singing, if I'm doing an offbeat, if I'm singing offbeat, so ti na di na तुम घाना से घान श्याम घटा घन तुम घन से. Now in this, if he starts doing some gadbad, he starts playing something, 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2, it's going to send me my expression on a toss. So music is, it wasn't just my performance. It was all of us giving, expressing. The expression was from all of us to you. So everyone plays their role. If I'm singing, stressing upon Gandhar, and Siddesh decides he wants to show Pancham, it's not going to work.
Yeah, they're excellent accompanists. I can vouch for it.
They are wonderful accompanists. And that's why I'm very biased to them. I keep insisting I want Siddesh and Yati. Because you also, if you're talking to someone new, it's a little awkward. But when it's people you've always known with, then it goes easier. Conversations become much easier with people you know. So that's how it is with accompanists also. So that is how laya and rhythm, we've been groomed to look at laya and rhythm.
Excellent. So maybe we'll open up if people have any questions, thoughts, comments.
Yes. Do you need a mic?
Yeah, I think she might.
Yeah. That's okay.
What do you need?
We can share this, yeah.
No, you can.
We can share this, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You spoke about the sum, that you don't actually show the sum, and the avartan ends, and you said Mogubai ji said that it has to actually be only an expression of, like a tail end of your whole avartan and your expression. Exactly that you replicated here, and but as an audience or as a student, when you listen to any khayal or any bandish, you are so attuned to like a mechanical sum. वो सम आने के लिए ऐसे ठक ऐसे होता ही है. वो आपके गाने में मुझे कहीं पर भी मुझे वो लगा ही नहीं कि I want to do this. This was my first time experience. I mean, it was just amazing.
So did you like that?
Is
that a good thing?
Of course. So this continuity that comes, and you don't want, and you actually don't even wait. It's not even वो सम की आमद भी नहीं लगती है, फिर भी वो आवर्तन पूरा हो रहा है. Can you just slightly elaborate on this aspect? I mean, in whichever way you can.
Yeah. I'll have to call them again. We'll have to start another. So, with not just with the sum, because when it comes, Yeah, yeah. So when I start expressing, general format, a very basic, is you start from, just like a tree grows, the roots grow first, so we go to the mandra. Then you see a little green shoot, and then it grows upward. A tree doesn't grow the other way. It goes down and then it goes up. Similarly, when you sing, the format that we have been trained in is you go explore the mandra first, then the madhya saptak, then the tar saptak, and then you show relativity between the tar saptak, mandra and madhya. Now, doing all this, what's most important, as I said, is the expression. Now, when you're happy, do you feel happy in parts? You felt happy for 5 minutes, then you were fine. Then again 5 minutes. No. You are consistently happy. So if I'm expressing a happy feeling, whether I express it within 20 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour, it has to be consistent. So at no point in your recital should your expression be hindered or cut by any element. So you do progress from alapi, bandish, the sayantra. Then again you sing alapi, explores the rag. This is my format. Then bol alap, then bol and tan, and then tan and fast tan, dudrut, very fast tan. But through all of this, the expression needs to be consistent. So every time the sum comes, if there is a complete full stop, you can give stress as long as it doesn't cut the expression, the flow of expression there. I'm sure that there are fantastic artists who give that somewhere, they make you do this, but the expression still continues. But
Normal. What I
Ha.
want to ask you was that is such a normal thing, such a normal progression in terms of listening and in terms of learning and in terms of performance.
Because the minute you do this, na, and then you, yeah.
With you, for me, this was my first time. I've not heard anybody sing like that.
Hmm.
And फिर भी वो monotonous नहीं लग रहा था. वैसे मुझे एक भी बार ऐसे नहीं लग रहा था कि सम आनी चाहिए. मतलब वो वाली सम क्यों नहीं आ रही है, वो मुझे मिस नहीं हुआ. तो उसके पीछे कुछ और ही विचार है ऐसे. I just couldn't.
Because what happens is when you do, that's when your brain is rebooting. So it's a laptop that works and then it stops and reboots again, then stops and reboots again. So every avartan, the audience is reorienting themselves to the expression.
But your subtlety is so subtle. I mean, it's like subtlety personified there. And even when you ended your khayal and your bandish, वो तिहाई लेके आपने जो 3 बार आपने सब कुछ जो end किया, even there it was not like tha 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 वो pickup लेके one.
That I think even Tai never did, She said, तिहाई लोगों के सर पे मत मारो. तिहाई लोगों के सर पे मत मारो. तुम घन से घन से घन से. It's gonna take away from the expression that I've created.
I just want to say one small thing which she already alluded to, is that actually I think the gharanas do vary. I mean, Kishori is the height of subtlety and all. I mean, she's just honed her gaiki to such a very, very subtle expression. But when you're talking about arriving at, there are some gharanas which actually every avartan is like a celebration. So they build up, like Agra Gharana, they really build up, and then it's coming, even the audience knows it's coming, but then suddenly it comes and it's very, it's rhythmically, it's different. It's a different feeling. So I wouldn't really say one is better than the other or anything. Everything depends on how it's executed. Yeah.
Also, I would.
मतलब even Kishori जी का
अलग था.
गाना इतने सालों से, but she was again, I'm not saying better or anything like that.
But different.
Very different.
Different
Yeah.
experience. Yeah. But also, to add to what she said, we do give a stress on the sum, but if the expression demands, like if it is so the Sur Malhar that we sing, I can't suddenly remember the bandish. So in the Sur Malhar, बादल बरसन को so बादल बरसन को आए. So this is where you will find the stress. Yeah, actually, I've never really thought of these technical things. I'm glad you're asking such questions because it also makes me think of why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I'm constantly thinking of the expression that I started off with, and I'm trying to take it further, and then end it. So for me, as I said, the sum is just a full stop. But even after the full stop, between the pause of the full stop and the first word of the next dialogue, the meaning continues. So I just try to think of the expression, maybe that's why. Also another thing that I always insisted is the minute you change from one aspect of gaiki, like alapi to bolalap, or the way you transition from the mandra, madhya and tar saptak, that shouldn't be obvious. It should become very subtle. And I'm sure a lot of you must have experienced in Thai's music, you don't realize when alapi bolalap ho gaya aur taane shuru ho gayi. You don't realize. So also that's it's very difficult. So, but that's what we are trying. That's what we are striving to do on stage.
Tejashree, you mentioned that Kishori Tai was very fond of singing Rag Hoop and Rag Yaman. For example, her compositions in Hoop, Sahela Re, Jab Se Tu Misan Lagi are very popular. So, is there any particular rag that you enjoy singing the most, or you have sung the most?
Tai has shown me such beauty in every rag. It's very difficult to choose. But as I said, the ragas that I've spent more time with, I'm more passionate about. That's maybe because I can see a lot more in them than other ragas that I've not yet explored.
So any example that you really enjoy?
I would like to mention here because I've never been allowed to sing in the afternoon. So Shuddha Sarang is one of them. Shuddha Sarang is one of them. Yaman, obviously, because I've sung so much with Tai. Rageshri, Bageshri. There are so many. There are really so many. There is Meera Mallar, Rageshri, obviously, because I just sang them. So, but yeah, Khokar. Tai showed me a very different shade of khokar from the typical Jaipur Gharana. She embellished it with her style. So the khokar that I sing doesn't sound that, what do you say, it's not so rigid toward the Jaipur Gaiki, but it's got a lot of embellishments. So I think it's more embellished when I sing it, because that's how she has taught me.
Any of the morning ones, because very seldom we actually get to attend morning concerts. Just get to hear it on CDs or so anything from the morning that you really enjoy?
There are lots. There is the Bilavals are beautiful, I think. But other than that, there is Gunkali, which I really like. I don't think I would have the guts to sing it after listening to my grandmother's Gunkali, but I really like it. It's very dear to me. Other than that, Lalit Pancham, that I have studied a bit. So yeah, lots of ragas. Bibhas is another rag, but very complicated. Very complicated the way she handles the dhaivat. So lots of. I mean, I would land up taking the names of all the ragas that I've because they're just so beautiful. Lalita Gauri is another rag that I recently performed. So Gaur sarang, all the sarangs are beautiful, I think. Bihag. So let's stop here because it's all rag, basically all rags. So
So maybe one more question, Anuradha. Anybody? I think your music said it all.
Yeah, you tell us something you would like to say to us, or like share something that you would like.
well, I'm so because I've just performed in Baithak, what I really miss most is those Baithaks where they would happen in these small halls and people's homes, because homes were big then, but in somebody's living room. And again, sometimes there were microphones, sometimes there were no microphones. But that feel, and also where other artists attended their peers' concerts. And it was very, it was not very formal. So I remember my grandmother used to tell me, Mogubai ji in her house in Gwalior Tank would organize these such baithaks in her house. So, and there was so many. I think her building was mostly musicians. That entire street was full of musicians and greats in their field. So they would all come to her house to attend, and there was no one. Okay, maybe there was one decided artist, but everybody would land up singing. And the artist performing would say, "Arey yaar, ye raag to tumhe gaana chahiye, bhaiya tum aao." And they would just impromptu start singing. So I miss that. I could never attend such baithaks. But I wish, someday, Anuradha ji, we can organize something like that.
Actually, artists don't attend artists today. That is
Because we are very busy performing. I think there are a lot of performances happening. I think back in the day, people used to not perform that often. Of course, today things are very different.
But what is your, just to end, kind of a last roundup question, are you optimistic about this art form? Because it requires so much from the musician, but it also demands a lot from the listener. Because if you're singing a particular rag, to some extent, the audience, in order to appreciate its nuances, should have some familiarity with it, or over time at least, or give it the time. So what is your...
So, this is something that I really appreciate about Gen Z, as they call them. They're so ready to experience new things. My generation was not. They were quite averse. Arey, wo classical kya, aau. I still have a lot of friends that say, tum abhi bhi wo aau karti ho. I said, yeah, absolutely. Full time aau hi karti hu main. So, but Gen Z is, they're very enterprising to all these new ideas. So, yeah, I'm very, very optimistic, very hopeful that this, classical music is not going to go.
Really, on what basis? Like Gen Z, wait, let me get Gen Z. So their birth...
2000s and onward.
birth
2000 and onward.
Birth is 2000.
Born 2000.
So they're all in their 20s now, right?
Absolutely.
So early 20s.
96
so basically,
to be specific.
So basically 20 to 30. That's their age.
96 to 2010. And then from then on is Gen Alpha.
Oh. So 15 to 25. Okay, anyway.
No, they are. See, whatever they are into, whatever they may be into, but at least they're ready to go and get new experiences.
Are there any Gen Z people here?
See, look,
That's pretty.
like so many. See?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That too on a weekday late at night. Okay.
On a weekday, imagine. See, that's right there. That's the hope I have. But yeah, I think anything classical, and that's why it's called classical, I think that doesn't go, because and this is what I always said, you know. My husband, he's here, Nishad Pandya. He said, भाई हमारे घर में तो सब औरंगजेब है, you know. So तुम्हारा पता नहीं वो classical का. And I said, listen, the best part about my music is you don't need to understand, because I understand very little. I just express, and you just be there and experience. Just let it affect you. Don't try and segregate कि ये कौन सा सुर, वो कौन सा सुर, फिर क्या चलन हुआ and all. Like, for example, when you see a beautiful sunset, you don't need to be a photographer or a painter to appreciate it. Your heart just knows that it needs to stay there and experience it for a little longer. I feel like that. If you know, yeah, this is what I would like to share with the audience. If you can just listen to music and let it have its effect on you, I think that would be the most beautiful experience that you can have.
True.
So, in fact, I feel, you know, all the technical knowledge that I'm burdened with does not allow me to be a very good listener, because and I'm sure you must be relating to it most, because you immediately go, acha, ye sur aise liya is rag mein, okay. But why? Forget kaun sa sur liya, kya kiya. Acha laga ke nahi?
No, it's true. Even I've never had talim in Meera Malhar. Of course, I've heard Kishori Tai. So I was sitting there, okay, let me figure out the chalan. And then after a point, I said, okay, forget about it. Just enjoy the music. So, yeah, I relate to that.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to talk and, you know, share, because a lot of our thought process does not come across when you're singing, but it gives you a nice scope to express yourself in words and your thought process and where you come from. It's nice to share with you people.
Right. So lovely.
Thank you, Sumana ji.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes,